Hello and welcome back to What Steven Reads. My name is Steven and I'm finally doing this video, the culmination of my sampling of big books. And first, let me say thank you for the first big books video for reaching over 1,000 views. Ironic, right? 1,000 views for books that are 1,000 pages. I can't believe it. So being new on BookTube, I'm just in shock that a video that I did hit 1,000. The other ones haven't come close, which is fine. I just think maybe there's something going on right now with big books on Bookstagram and BookTube. But obviously it got me very excited, very happy. And I also hit 100 followers on BookTube. So that I'm very excited too. Thank you for watching. I really do appreciate it. So with that said, finally, I'm doing this video to see which one I picked. So I'm going to show you the books and just very briefly go over them. You know, I think most people have heard of most of these books except for maybe one. And just give you my initial thoughts about reading the first few chapters of each of them and what I liked, what I didn't like. I will say I didn't dislike any of them. So that's good, because that would have been a waste of money unless I could still return it, but not an issue. So yeah, so let's go through them and finally get to which one I actually picked. So, all right. So coming in at one vote. Now, when I say votes, I was just going by the comments that people left on the page and just some updates I did on the big book in vlogs or whatever. So really only one person was in favor of 4321, and it might be the same person who said that they went out and bought it because I mentioned it. And I also said in reply, I hope you didn't buy it because I haven't read it yet, which, you know, I was clear about, and I hope if they are reading it that they're enjoying it. So, yeah, Paul Auster's 4321 came in with one comment in favor of it. I didn't really take a vote on it. Has a 3.97 on Goodreads, if you follow Goodreads reviews. And it comes in at 896 pages. So that's the first book. Then also with one vote or comment in favor of it was Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell, which I was surprised because I thought this book was more popular. This one has a, let's see, 3.87 on Goodreads and comes in at 106 pages. So we got that. But yeah, I was surprised that it only had one person in favor of that book. But again, that's just, you know, it's a small audience that I have. Obviously, there's not going to be that many people that have read that book. IQ 84 by Haruki Murakami was the front of that one with the little plastic cover. It's a nice copy of it. 3.95 on Goodreads, coming in at 928 pages. And someone pointed out that the original publication of this book was in 3 volumes. So I said, oh, maybe I should disqualify it from the running. And I decided to keep it, though, because the American editions usually are in one book. But I bought this one to make it easier to take out and read. And it's just a nice looking edition of it, I think. I think it's pretty cool. So we got that, and as I say, it's 928 pages total. Okay. Then coming in at 6 in favor of was The Stand by Stephen King, and this is the copy I have. I can't believe how many copies are out there of this book. Has a 4.35 on Goodreads and comes in at 1,328 pages. All right, we got that. And last but not least, Lonesome Dove by Larry McMurtry came in with 8 people in favor of me choosing this book. And Lonesome Dove comes in at 4.57 on Goodreads and 960 pages. So that's the choice. 1, 2, 3, 4, that's 5 books. I did return Les Miserables, the one that I had bought for my father, who wanted a French copy. I did return that. I do want to get another copy of that book without the deckled edges. And I did order him a French copy, which he was very excited about. So maybe we'll get him on video one day to talk about why he wanted to read it and what he thinks about it. My father's very smart. I'm sure he has a lot to say about that book. So I'm going to go through each of them and tell you what I think we won't go through what the story's about. I think we all know that already. We've done that with the last video, and these books are pretty well known. Except for the first, 4321 by Paul Auster. So the premise of this book, which I will mention really quick, is about a man that is born, and this book takes his life in 4 different directions. Some of them are positive, some of them are more negative. Some he has money, some he does not have money. So I don't know what the 4 possible outcomes could be, but this is the least adventurous and least fantastical book out of all of these. And that's what drew me to it. It's more literary, more contemporary, and I think that's what I liked about this book. So that's one, and the writing is very simple, very easy to understand. I think his prose is very simple and enjoyable to read, almost like you're reading a documentary about somebody. So I did like that about that. And just in case anybody wants to know, the publisher is Picador. I've never heard of Picador before, but the pages are very nice and seems to be of good quality. The text is very clear, even though I don't have my glasses on right now. Yeah, so that's that. Then Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell. So what drew me to this book are the many comments about how amazing this book is, and the fact that some people think it's even better than Piranesi. It's about magic that is in this world, in this dimension, whatever you want to call it, reality, and how no one actually knows how to use it anymore. But there are 2 people that do know how to use magic, and that's where the story starts from. So I enjoyed that whole element. What kept me going, because I did read a little bit further, was that something fantastical was supposed to happen and didn't happen in the 1 chapter. So I said, all right, let me keep going, and then something did happen, and I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. So I really am enjoying this book. I thought it was great so far. The writing is, well, right off the bat, and I've complained about this with some other books, is that there's just a lot of characters in it. And almost every page, well, maybe not every page, I'm just flipping through it, has footnotes, as if it's some actual factual historical document. And have you read this? Do you read all the footnotes? It's almost like a separate part of the book. Let me know in the comments, because I'm curious next. I'm very tempted to skip all of them, because they're also in a much smaller font. I don't know if that's going to show up on camera. See that bottom section over there? So, yeah. But I do like it, though. I do. And I like 4321, too. But it's just so different from the rest of these. Coming in next, IQ 84. So, you know, this book got some I didn't like it. And I really enjoyed it so far. So far, I've been introduced to 2 characters. One, in the first chapter, she's in a cab on some elevated highway. And she's going to be late for a meeting. She's very observant, the character. I don't remember the names because I, was just forgetting the names at the moment of all these books, thinking about them all at the same time. And she leaves the cab to get off of this elevated highway in a very dangerous situation for a normal person jumping out of a cab. No one gets out of a cab on a highway and goes down some metal railing or stair system. And that's kind of like where you're left with her. And then there's a second character who is a writer, and he's part of a team that votes for new writers to win an award, and he's never won the award. And he's presented with this story that a young female writer has written, and his mentor / editor is trying to convince him to take her story and rewrite it because her writing is very juvenile, and he wants to present the book as his own, along with the girl, but keeping it a secret. So that's what I got up to. Very interesting. I don't know where this pairs up. And I could be totally off with this, with 1984. I don't know if this has anything to do with the book 1984. If it does or doesn't, it doesn't really matter to me, because so far the story does sound interesting to me. Got that. Then The Stand, coming in with 6 people in favor of it, by Stephen King. And this just sounds really cool. I have not gotten very far into it. Oh, I moved my bookmark, and that sucks. I'll have to find out where I was. Basically, something's going on, like a plague or something, and there's a couple of people coughing something got loose or something got exposed into the air, and this man goes home to get his wife and child to skip town, get the hell out of Dodge. And it just feels very now with what happened a few years ago, very frightening. And I just read The Cat's Cradle, which frightening of what could happen in this world when things get out of hand with technology and chemicals and inventions. So I really enjoyed the beginning of that book. And last but not least, like I said, with 8 votes, came 8 in favor of me picking Lonesome Dove by Larry McMurtry. And this is more, more along the lines of 4321. Nothing's fantastical about this, nothing crazy, nothing strange. It's just a nice account of, right now, cattle herders. That's the only part that I'm up to. And this just seems, and I could be wrong, just a bit more relaxing of a read. I enjoyed all the characters introduced so far. I hope I can keep track of all of them. It just seemed like there are a lot of characters, but I guess that's to be expected with books that are just so huge. There's going to be tons of people walking around, talking and interacting, and this side story and that side story. But I did like it. More along the lower lines of anything fantastical, along with 4321. So, let me just, my notes closed on me. Thanks so much, Google Keep. So other books that people suggested in the comments, Tales of Genji, Shogun, which I've heard of, Outlander, which I've heard of, Vanity Fair, which I remember picking up that book briefly in Barnes & Noble when I was picking out these books, Count of Monte Cristo, and of course Les Mis. So if I do this again next year or in 6 months whenever I finish these books, I'm obviously want to get to the ones that I didn't choose today, and maybe each time I will add in a new book or 2 new books into the fold and pick from there. So that could be fun. So what book did I pick? I thought I had it already set in mind which one I was going to pick, but now as I'm going through them and talking about them, so my initial thought was The Stand, because maybe it's the time of season, something a little bit more mysterious, like a puzzle box kind of book, which I don't think it's that kind of book anyway. It's more about survival. And, recounting how I felt about Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell. In my head, I keep calling it Doctor Strange. And, Lonesome Dove sounds a bit more cozy, which I'm probably completely off with that whole notion. It's probably not cozy at all. I don't know. But I think my final choice is going to be Stephen King's The Stand. So that is the first big book that I will be reading, Stephen King's The Stand. And I'm very excited. And I feel like the reading goes really quick. I don't think the prose is complicated. So, yeah, tell me what you think. Do you think I made a good choice? And how long do you think this is going to take me to read? Because, I have other stuff that I do read. I read a book at night, and now I'm looking for something to bring on the airplane with me, and bring to the hotel with me, and I'm definitely a mood reader. But I'm definitely interested in getting started with this. I just have to find where it was. I don't know why I moved the bookmark. No idea. But anyway, that's that. And I'll keep you updated each week on my progress on The Stand. So thanks for watching. And as far as this view goes, I'm trying out different lenses that I have for my Micro Four Thirds camera. And with Micro Four Thirds, it's hard to get a lens that has a wider focal length to get that blur in the background, because the chip, the processor chip, or whatever you want to call it, is a lot smaller on a Micro Four Thirds camera. And I'm not buying a new camera. That's not going to happen. Not right now. Peter's like, get a new camera. I was like, I don't have $1,000 to spend on a new camera for YouTube. Invested in this a few years ago. I like the photos, how they come out, so I'm going to stick with this. If you have any suggestions for a setup or a lens, or, just give me a thumbs up if you think this is a good setup. So please like and subscribe if you enjoyed this video. And again, thanks for the over 1,000 views on the first Big Books video. I really appreciate it. I don't know what the secret is. Maybe it's just the whole Big Books thing again. I really don't know. But I'm very grateful for that, and grateful for reaching 100 subscribers on BookTube. All right, I will see you next time, and thanks for watching. Bye-bye.